Hello everyone! So a few weeks ago, I posted a series of polls on my community tab. These polls were asking things like what type of saddle do you prefer, or which color do you like best, etc, etc. Well, there was indeed a purpose for them. I'm going to be letting you guys choose what tack I should make for my new horse. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see the result. Okay, so English won by a landslide, which does not surprise me at all. Okay, and darn it. Color changing won, which means I have to go get a lot of color changing shards. Yay! Okay, and seasonal themed name won. That's perfectly fine. I'm happy with that. Very happy. Okay, so the first thing I decided to do was get the color changing shards. I needed 30 of them. And after rejoining my private server a numerous amount of times, finding an Easter painted Icelandic, harvesting lots and lots of prismatic gems, and suffering a lot of death, I finally had the amount of shards that I needed. And because I didn't know what type of fade to do, I decided to go with the color that was in second place, Icy. So obviously I needed to get some snowballs. When I was finished, I decided to head back to Mainland so I could get the tack because I had all of my resources, I had everything I needed, I was ready to get started. But then I decided that, hey, maybe I should double check the poll just to make sure I got all the colors right. And oh boy, I certainly did not. Color changing and pastel colors were tied, and the icy colors were last place, so I wasn't even close to being correct. But thankfully, I had a lot of flowers because I used to hoard them. And then I had another realization. There is no such thing as pastel fade, which that was a color I was going to use to make things right. So I may or may not have started to panic. But eventually I decided to go with Icy Fade, so it didn't really matter. But don't worry, that decision was definitely not made just because Icy Fade is my favorite color in the game. Anyways, after having sold some of my stuff because I am still suffering from what Shella did to me, I was actually ready to finally make the tack. Oh, and by the way, since you probably haven't seen her yet, here's the horse. So eventually I moved on to making the bridle. The color was going to be Icy Fade and the tier was going to be prismatic. And I was about to make the saddle too, but then I realized I didn't have any leather or anything else, so I had to go buy some of that. The saddle was also going to be Icy Fade with the tier being prismatic as well. I couldn't decide what color I wanted the saddle pad to be. I knew I wanted a color that I could get on accessories, so pretty much all of the fades were out of the picture. But then I had another idea, and oh boy am I good at those. So I marched right on over to Shella, got a pastel saddle pad, and realized that my idea was a terrible one because it did not look good with all the colors. So I ended up just choosing Icy White. And I was about to make the Polar Wraps Icy White too, but then the guilt got to me. So I had to get 15 more color changing shards. And finally, I made the Polar Wraps and finished the tack set. Now all I needed to do was pick the name. Since the theme for the name was supposed to be a seasonal name, I decided to go with Frost because actually the entire tack set is made out of icy colors. So I thought it was fitting. So this is how she turned out. I'm so glad you guys got to be a part of this process. It kind of feels like instead of her being my horse, she's our horse. I love the way it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, then please consider leaving a like, and if you're new to the channel or YouTube itself, then subscribe. Anyways, I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye!